guys. It's good to see everybody. How are you? God, I'm getting my hair done tomorrow and I can't wait. It's about time. It's looking a little bit ragged. I want to welcome everybody in chat and say hello. Hello. So you guys are all lined up and ready for the cringe, huh? Because I'm telling you, the cringe is strong here. So anyway, I have been watching all the videos that are being uploaded by, hello guys, hello Dimple, all the videos that are being uploaded by very, very, very angry people. Big content creators like The Quartering, content creators who are coming out, Nicholas Diorio has been on it, a lot of streamers have been on it, and everybody is outraged about what has happened to Ethan Klein and his family. Tipster weighed in. A lot of people have weighed in. And I find this to be very, very wonderful. But I think that a lot of these content creators who are absolutely shocked that such a thing would be done, that CPS would be sent to the home of somebody because they don't agree with that person's opinions. I think it would be incredibly shocking to these content creators to discover that there are other communities where sending CPS to somebody's home because you don't like the creator is pretty commonplace. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen the threats and the bullshit in the Alexandra Rodriguez community. We have seen the drama community. We have seen so many communities where using CPS as a weapon against internet perceived enemies on the internet is a thing that happens. So I'm glad that everybody is up in arms. I'm glad to see that iDubbbz and Anissa are getting dragged. I'm glad to see that Adam McIntyre is being dragged. I am thrilled that finally all eyes are on Denims in a way that maybe they weren't before. I think a lot of people hadn't heard of her. And the first introduction to this woman is going to be her talking about, with a chat full of people, encouraging people to call CPS on Ethan and Hila, and saying, well, before the age of, what is it? That 3- and 5-year-olds can't form memories. The 3-year-olds are too young. And really, all those memories that we form as children, well, they don't really count because you forget them by the time you're 15. Okay, so does that mean then that you are allowed to prey on young children? Because what's the difference, right? They won't remember it. That is what she is implying. Hang on. Sorry, I'm getting some text messages. Anyway, so I am beside myself, and I am being very inspired by Ethan Klein, who has gone full frontal, so to speak. Ethan Klein, who is now going to be subpoenaing Reddit to uncover the identities of anonymous stalkers and harassers. I think that that's a very good idea, actually. You get a lawyer, the lawyer drafts up something, they go to court, and they demand that the identities of internet harassers and stalkers be identified or be revealed. Why should people be allowed to dox you, to contact local authorities, to send CPS to your home, to do all this stuff and remain anonymous? I do not think that that is a fair thing. And if somebody is going to engage in this type of behavior, then I think that we all need to know who that person is, don't you? I agree. All right. So, well, the problem is that they have to. They have to take every call seriously. But in the case of the Kleins, I mean, a CPS worker should have walked into that home, taken one look around, and realized that they had been hoodwinked, that they had been lied to, that the house was not filthy. Oh, and now there's a new talking point on that subreddit that Giardia, which, let me remind you, Ethan Klein's baby did not contract. Okay, Ethan Klein's baby was not ill with Giardia. The baby had switched over to solid food and developed diarrhea, but the kid did not have Giardia. But now people are saying that it's a sign that there's some connection between Giardia and sexual abuse, so they're ratcheting it up. They're taking it to the next level. And I think that anybody who posts something like that, a lie like that, I think we need to know who they are. Why not? I mean, if you are brave enough to post something like that on Reddit, then I think we should all be able to see your face. We should know your name. We should know where you live. Why not? Anybody who goes on social media and makes threats, issues dog whistles to bring CPS into a home where it is not needed, their presence is not needed. Absolutely. Anyone who reaches out to local authorities, whether on the phone or on Twitter, anyone who doxes family members for the purpose of getting mobs to terrorize that person. Yeah, we need to know their identity. Hang on a second. Let me close the door. Okay, I'm back. So let's take a look at this Beck video. I did not know that shadow hair. I had no idea. Let's just say that the topic of CPS, dogpiling, lying, and smearing is a topic that is of great interest to me. Oh, and then gaslighting the victim. It's of intense interest to me. And the one benefit of this happening to Ethan Klein, and I know it's a terrible way of phrasing it, is that he's such a huge content creator that all eyes are on him. And I think a lot of people are going to be asking a lot of questions about people's conduct on the platform or on any platform, on the internet, let's put it that way. And this is a good development. Okay. Now, we're going to fire up Becky. Now, I am equally aware, as all of you are, that this Amberlynn-Becky feud is so fucking cringe. It is so beyond embarrassing. And Becky is just going to keep getting crazier and crazier. Not crazy in terms of she's lost her mind, but the stuff that she says is going to get more and more and more personal and embarrassing. A lot of it is going to be boring because Becky is incredibly boring. We all know this, right? So let's go ahead and hear what she had to say this time. And there are some embarrassing revelations in this latest video. Apparently, Amberlynn was not happy about it, as anybody would be unhappy about such embarrassing personal details coming out about a person's hygiene, cleanliness, whatever. But you know what? We're in it, in for a penny, in for a pound, you guys. You know, it's the talk of the town. So let's hear Becky go on about this nonsense. Let's go.
Confront her language.
Oh, wait, I have to go back.
Live streams and the podcast with Casey, and now Amber's last live stream on Thursday. It has just all been overwhelming. Amber's live was hard for me to watch. It brought up a lot of emotions I've had to confront. Her language, outlook, and how she twists everything was very triggering. And some of it was clearly an attempt to attack my character and discredit me and what I've said about her. Because
you're both doing that to each other, so it's okay. You'll get over it. You'll make plenty of money off of all this. I'm sure that will be a comfort to you.
Because of that, I had to comb through everything she said, take notes, and try my best to wrap my head around what was going on. Reaction channels have really helped so much with that.
Oh, yeah, they
And it's
have, haven't
difficult
they?
seeing so many people watch her lie about me and others while trying to manipulate the narrative. But they remember things even I don't remember sometimes, and getting the outside perspective has been incredibly important and enlightening.
Yeah, of course you like reaction channels now, Becky, now that they're not calling you the thumb, now that they're not calling you Eeyore, now that they're not saying that you're obsessed with death and that you're boring and lazy and a grifter. Of course you love them now. Sure you do. Yeah, I get it. I get it. You know, the bottom line with all of this, we don't know who is lying. We have no idea who's telling the truth and who isn't. Now, oh, that's funny, Cy. Now, the thing is, we know that Amberlynn is a liar. And there's a lot of stuff that Becky has said that is, let's just say I have questions. But let's continue.
I've been trying to keep myself from having to address her directly most of the time. I did consider making this video at her specifically, but when I was writing this, I found out that she wasn't who I wanted to talk to. I wanted to tell you what I thought and what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I wanted to tell the audience because you guys give me money.
This is all really new to me. Yes, I've talked about our past relationship before, but not to the extent I have the last month or so.
Yeah, I wonder
and
why.
I've been on YouTube in the past, but I've never had this amount of support behind me until recently. Now with more public support comes more attention and more expectations. I knew talking about her again would bring a lot of eyes my way, and I don't want to let anyone down, but I can't stand by and let fear stop me from talking about what I went through and bringing awareness to covert narcissism and mental,
here we go.
emotional, and financial abuse.
Okay, Callie.
All abuse survivors deserve to be advocated for, whether it is physical or psychological. Amber herself was once a victim of abuse in her childhood, but she has continuously weaponized her trauma to manipulate people into getting her way in many
We know that,
different
Becky.
scenarios. Even now she is doing that, trying to paint herself to look like as much of a victim as her own victims. She wants me to tuck my tail and run away from this like I've done before, but I won't be doing that this time. First, I want to say that I understand if Amber has maybe swayed your opinion of me. It's so easy to get swept up in her confusion and manipulation. I was swept up in it for many years, and you don't have to like me to still hold Amber and people like her accountable publicly for the harm that they cause.
I hold you both accountable. I hold you both accountable. See, that's what sets me apart from others. I am not going to give you complete benefit of the doubt, Becky, because why should I? I have seen too many people come on the platform and lie over and over and over again. I have seen too many people come on and manipulate the audience for money, just like Amber does. So I am going to hold you both accountable. You were both adults. You were both fully aware of what you were doing. And Becky, I really question your judgment, particularly because if you walked into that home and it was filthy and bedbug ridden, and the animals were not being properly looked after, and the cats were going to the bathroom outside of the litter box, and the house was a filthy mess, why would you move her in with you? Why would you do that? If you weren't even sure you wanted to be in a relationship. I side-eye all of it. All of it. You're an adult, Becky. You made a choice. And now you want everybody to, lift you up on their shoulders and declare you the apex victim. I'm not willing to do that. I'm not.
I will link some videos in the description for channels that really helped me make sense of this whole mess. But I just ask that you give me a chance to make some points before forming your whole opinion. It has been difficult to understand and tell my truth because this has all been so messy and emotional from the beginning with Amber. Secondly, I want you to keep in mind two things that I've learned about while trying to make sense of what I went through. Darvo is a manipulation tactic often used by narcissists and abusers when confronted about their behaviors and actions. Deny stands for downplaying or minimizing severity of actions, deny it happened, reject responsibility for it, or refuse to acknowledge it. Attack means attacking credibility, character, or motivations, and exaggerating or lying. counter accusations to divert attention from them. Reverse victim and offender, twisting the narrative to make them the real victim of abuse, casting blame onto someone else to regain control, and manipulating emotions to get sympathy or pity. And the narcissist prayer, coined by Dana Craig, used to demonstrate the way the narcissist thinks about their actions. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. I think for someone who claims to not be a narcissist and to only have a few narcissistic traits, these patterns are very similar.
This reminds me, this is apropos of nothing, but it's something that dawned on me a while ago. Becky's family was living nearby. We've already established that. She was the only one who could drive. Becky was mobile. Becky was able to walk around. Becky didn't need assistance. She didn't need to ride a scooter or anything like that. And I think of the stories that are told by women who were essentially mail order brides from like Russia, the Philippines, other countries like that, where they came from impoverished backgrounds, and some man comes over and he sponsors you on a fiancé visa, brings you over, and you are legitimately trapped. You have no support system, and you find that you are at the mercy of a man who's an abuser, a man who won't let you leave the house, a man who may seize your passport, a man who holds a green card over your head and says, unless you do exactly as I say, I'm not applying for a green card for you, or I'm not going to marry you, or I'm not going to bring your kids over, or, any number of things like that. Those women are victims. Those women really are trapped. Becky, you are a free citizen of the United States of America. And at any time, you could have packed your shit up and you could have gone to stay with your family that was, an hour away? Hi, Reading. How are you? So, yeah, I'm sick of it too. From any quarter. Let's go on.
Not exactly what she's done and is doing now. However, I don't want you guys to believe I am some perfect victim of Amberlynn Reid.
You're not.
I'm not, and have never been perfect before her or after. She continues to say that everyone believes I'm all good and she is all bad.
They do.
She acts as if I've never been criticized in the past or now. But the truth is, she has never been able to take criticism and still can't handle it.
We know that, Becky.
Anyone who has ever had something to say about the crappy things that she has done is against her and has it all wrong. And it is not just to me, but all of her exes and the majority of her audience in the YouTube community, including reaction channels past and present. On the subject of not being perfect, reactive abuse exists within personal relationships, and I'm sure that I've said some inappropriate or mean things to Amber. During fights and arguments, a lot of sensitive things were being brought up, and I can't remember now the things I said, but we were having long-lasting problems in our relationship because
Here's another thing that's really driving me crazy about Becky, and one of the reasons why I side-eye her, and one of the reasons why I'm not willing to give her the complete benefit of the doubt. We all remember when Becky was over-medicated, when she was misdiagnosed with bipolar and she was put on all those drugs, right? And tranquilizers and mood stabilizers and God only knows what else. I think, and obviously I don't know this for a fact, this is just my opinion, that she was probably put on antipsychotics as well, which may have been another reason why she was slowed down so much, but not for the entirety of the relationship. And Becky's selective memory makes me side-eye her very, very, very heavily. She has a very selective memory. Now, it's possible that the drugs may have erased some of her memory. I mean, my memory sucks because of my... Nope. My memory sucks because I had a radical hysterectomy before going through natural menopause. And so I was put into medical menopause, and there is a connection between the removal of the ovaries and memory loss. So in many cases, getting a hysterectomy, you feel in your mind it mimics the side effects or the symptoms of dementia or Alzheimer's in some cases, and your memory kind of evaporates. So I know that there are circumstances where you can lose your memory. Absolutely. Mine is about maybe 80-85% back. And maybe in the case of Becky, all those drugs she was on sort of worked like a Zamboni on her brain. But there's too much shit she doesn't seem to remember. And I don't know. She's quite young. She's too young to be going through any of the stuff that I've gone through. So I find that to be very, very strange. Let's continue.
Of her continued behavior and our situation. Reactive abuse doesn't mean that you're not being abused. I may not remember saying at least my family didn't do drugs, but that is not representative of my true feelings then or now. I have my own family members, my sister and my aunt, who struggled with their own addictions. My sister's been in recovery for 20 years, and we sadly lost our aunt. I really don't think I would have said those things, but it was a long time ago, and I can't be sure what I said or what she was saying to me before that happened. She showed no proof, and I don't have any either. But regardless, conflict can be used by toxic people who love to push and bring you down to their level. They do this to make you feel that they are not the problem, and instead, you are both the problem. Amber, I want to remind you that I would have never been on YouTube if it wasn't for you putting me on your channel to begin with. I wouldn't have talked to Karina last year if you wouldn't have still been talking about me. I probably wouldn't have ever come back to my channel if you had not continued talking about me. And now I'm back, and I don't know what I'm doing, but our audience is intertwined, and you can't pretend that there isn't years of evidence showing your pattern of abusive behaviors toward every single one of your exes. We can't all be lying, Amber. I don't know where to start, so I'm going to just do what she couldn't do and list out exactly what she lied about in this live stream.
Okay, do it.
Number 1, Amber claimed she never talked about me after the proposal story on her channel. Except she did. She made another video with my name in the title a couple weeks later. She talked about me on her Instagram stories and in her Q&As and in the comments of other people's live streams and videos. She even talked about me to people in her private life, according to Alexis, but I care less about that. The online stuff she knew people would see. And how many times now has she said she is done talking about me or the situation and then talks about it again? I've lost count. Number 2, she says she couldn't access the joint bank account that she had a card to with her name on it. I will continue.
You know, what's really funny about what you just wrote is that I was stupid enough to listen to Karina Kaboom today, and Karina was extremely, extremely offended on Becky's behalf. She's like, oh, but Becky has been working for years and blah, blah, blah. Okay, then why is it that every time she needs money, she runs to YouTube and e-begs? I don't get it. I don't understand why a person who is gainfully employed and in a relationship, by the way, and I'm assuming that the fiance is also gainfully employed, first of all, why do you get into so many car accidents? What is the problem with your driving, Becky? You can't blame the drugs anymore, or that you're in renal failure. You're just a shitty driver, okay? So why is it that if you have a job that you are constantly coming on YouTube, or not constantly, but you were coming on YouTube every time you got into a car accident and needed some repair done to the car? Why is that? And there were a lot of questions about whether or not the money was spent on the car. But that's up to you. I mean, that's for you to work out. But I am very suspicious. I'm very suspicious of people who have full-time employment and go on their channels and are e-begging or catastrophizing or saying, you know, if you don't give me money, I won't be able to upload. I won't be able to stream. I can't afford this, that, and the other thing. This is going to be ruined. That's going to be ruined. I side-eye those people. Because what the fuck is it? Are you employed or aren't you? And if you are employed, why are you always so short of money? And always in crisis mode? It makes no sense to me.
Continue to get into this more when I cover financial abuse later in this video. Same with buying me a car. Number 3. Amber said that I claim to never have met Jade or Libby. That just isn't true. There is evidence of me saying I met Jade before, as well as
of course she met Jade.
Being in the same room as Jade.
Yep.
Libby, I did say that I never met, but that's because I'm pretty sure we never did meet in person. There's a video of me sitting with Amber and talking while she was on YouNow with Libby. I did not meet Libby. I knew of Libby as a friend of Amber's she knew while with Destiny. Number 4. She says that Eric and Ricky told her that I admitted to using her for money and called her a fat fucking bitch. And I know some of you really wanted that last part to be true, but I truly do not remember saying those things to Eric or Ricky.
Of course.
I did complain about Amber sometimes, but I never made fun of Amber's weight or body, even after the breakup. And why would I admit to using Amber for money if that's what I was doing?
Because you're incredibly stupid, Becky. And because Eric and Ricky were two of your oldest friends, and you would have confided in them. I don't find that hard to believe. Because you were using her for money. You made it abundantly clear, both of you, that the relationship was fake. It was well, not that it was fake, but that it wasn't a romantic relationship. It wasn't a girlfriend relationship. It was a caregiver, patient relationship. And what other reason would you have to be with Amberlynn apart from using her for money? I mean, come on, just be honest about it.
It just doesn't make sense. Eric and Ricky are also notorious gossips, and they love the drama. They told me back when we were still talking that my own sister and Logan were talking crap about me behind my back, and they weren't. Number 5. Amber.
Oh, so Eric and Ricky are liars. They were pot stirrers. Okay, got it, Becky. Nice. All right.
Claimed to have told me many times to go get a job if I was so bored, and that she supported me in working or starting my own business. She also said that I only ever Ubered twice. That was a lie. I drove for Uber when I could, off and on, even after the breakup. Buying me some art supplies doesn't equal being supportive of me working and having a job. She admits herself in this live stream that she was controlling of my time and never wanted me to leave her alone. Which is the Amber, was I allowed to leave to work, or did I always need to be with you?
Okay, but she did buy you the art supplies and you didn't move forward and create art and sell it. Isn't that right? And to do that, to create art and sell it, you wouldn't have had to leave the home. You could have done it while sitting there next to the ham planet. There would have been no need for you to leave the house. And yeah, she was controlling and horrible by her own admission. I would have gone crazy. I wouldn't have been able to stand having to be stuck to somebody's side like that 24/7. It would have driven me out of my mind. But it worked somehow. But you have nobody but yourself to blame, Becky, for not starting the art business. Would it have been successful? I doubt it, but at least, try to give it a try, right?
Number 6. She tells people in her live that I said we weren't friends after the breakup, and that isn't entirely true.
Oh my God.
On my channel, I've said before that we hung out after the breakup, but that after I moved out, we were only friendly. We rarely saw each other unless I was dealing with my stuff at the apartment, and sometimes we were with mutuals. She continued to reach out to me every once in a while, and I continued to keep the peace when I had to because I still had people and stuff connected to her.
Okay.
Number 7. She lies about giving me her doctor's appointment slot for our psychiatrist because she was so worried for me. I don't understand this one or even why she thought that's how doctor appointments work, but I will bring this up again when I talk about my health history later in this video.
Okay. Again, she doesn't... Wait, let's go back a bit.
But I will bring this up.
Okay. I just don't remember this ever happening. To be fair, this was obvious when I was severely over-medicated. She said she has texts of it, so if it did happen, I would like to see them. I saw some people saying, that's not how doctor's appointments work. You can't just swap out your doctor's appointment with someone else. Let me tell you something. When you live in a tiny town, you can do this. You can. You can give your doctor's appointment over to somebody else. You can call the clinic or the doctor or whatever and say, look, I can't make it. And would you mind taking whatever instead? In a big city, this is a lot more difficult. But in a small town, it's possible. It can happen. Did it happen in this case? I really don't care. I'm just saying that it is possible to do this.
Up again when I talk about my health history later in this video. Number 8. Amber dances around implying that I pressured her for sex by asking her to be in a relationship. You have no idea how nauseated I felt hearing that.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be going into more details and telling you the whole story of that night. Number 9. Claims she never saw the settlement money and that, quote, it just went into the joint account. I don't know what happened to it. Number 10. She lied and said that she took the joint debit card away from me because Jade was uncomfortable. That card was only attached to the joint account we shared that originally was my account, and by that time she already had a separate private account with the same bank that all of her money was going into.
Okay, see, this is something that has never made sense to me about this whole joint bank account business. When Amberlynn claimed that she didn't have her own bank account, and that she needed a bank account as a place to deposit her YouTube money. So where the hell was her YouTube money going to before she met Becky? She must have had her own bank account. So what happened to that bank account? And then later on, she said that later on she opened her own bank account. Nothing about the joint bank account makes sense to me. It's just too weird. Claiming that she didn't have access to the banking information, claiming, the joint bank account full stop. Why would she need somebody else's bank account to deposit her YouTube money into? It doesn't make sense to me. Something about that story does not hang together. It's weird. But don't we remember that Becky used to say that if she wanted to spend money, she would have to get Amberlynn's bank card? Am I imagining that? But I seem to recall that. So if I'm wrong, let me know. But I could have sworn that that was one of Becky's complaints, that Amberlynn was so controlling with the money that she would only hand over the debit card if she needed something or whatever.
Number 11. Amber also lied about free bleeding, about how long I helped her wipe, how often I brushed her hair, and how often she showered. And then she also read out a chat about us both having hygiene issues. But I will once again get more into that in another section. Next, I will address the screenshots that she did show in her live stream and the situations surrounding them from what I remember. Screenshot
that
A,
makes sense,
Stop
you
Talking
guys.
Crap, September 7th, 2022. Prior to this, I had made a video on my channel that briefly mentioned Amber. I watched a Karina video and talked about it. I mentioned past relationships, and when I brought up Amber, I said something like, there were good and bad times, and she made a video shortly after that, on September 6th, that talked in length about my proposal to her. In her video, she belittled me again and talked badly about me, making the whole thing sound like something she never wanted and was below her.
Well, that's a
Apparently,
lie.
I sent her this text the next day. B. Last effing warning. Stop talking about me. All you do is talk about me, and I just want to forget you and all the bullshit. I will stop being silent if you don't, and I'm not the only one who has a lot to say about you. Final effing warning. Take my name out of your mouth, and I will get the law involved. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It was a little over a year after the breakup, and I had just had enough. If I didn't...
Becky, just to let you know, talking about somebody online is not illegal. Okay? You're going to get the law involved and do what? You're going to call the police and say, my ex-girlfriend is talking shit about me on her YouTube channel. Guess what law enforcement is going to do? Nothing. You either send a cease and desist, you hire a lawyer, you send a cease and desist, and then you escalate if it's really that bad. But, okay, let's go on.
Didn't see when she would post something about me, someone was sending it to me, and in those moments, I just wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I'd finally broken up with her and gotten away, and I needed time to be left alone. Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank.
Okay, probably.
I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account. She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day,
I cannot imagine being an adult making money. And Amberlynn was making pretty damn good money considering how shitty and lazy her content was, and not having your own bank account. I cannot imagine not opening a private bank account immediately from the outset. It's just, it is baffling to me how, I mean, if even Becky had the wherewithal to open a private bank account, which then she stupidly made into a joint bank account, then why would Amberlynn not be able to open up a bank account on her own? It is absolutely insane. Insane. But nothing that Amberlynn does makes sense to me.
Day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my account the joint account that we both had access to. Eventually, she had her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it wasn't hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full-time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account. But nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the one to spend it herself. Screenshot B.
I want to make it abundantly clear that I am not going to refer to Becky as a plural ever, ever. Becky is one person, not multiple. She's not an amoeba. She doesn't split into multiple parts. I am not going to indulge in somebody's delusional pronoun usage. I won't do it. If that's what you want, there are literally dozens and dozens of channels that indulge her and baby her and treat her, the way she wants to be treated. I don't call a singular person they unless I cannot determine what their gender is under certain circumstances. But no, I am not going to use the pronoun they. I was an English major. It is grammatically incorrect. It is delusional. Non-binary is not a thing. It doesn't exist. So if that makes you unhappy, then I'm definitely not the channel for you. And I've banned you. So, goodbye.
Point 2, banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A. You need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay you on this 22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore. B. Then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That, again, used to be my account.
Crazy.
But I'm pretty sure that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just throws doubt around. I also want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe why she said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point. Screenshot C, lying to audience, April 17th, 2022. A. I am literally getting harassed because people think I lied about us still being friends. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? This sucks so bad. B. It's best they don't know. As sad as it is, that would kill my channel. I do not want them knowing. It will be an even bigger, more messy thing. I'm going to address that I saw you and gave the rings, but we don't hang out, dude. That's just how it has to be. That's what they have to know. YouTube is my only income, and I'm only getting like $200. Amber adds that I said that I had a job even though I didn't. A. What about the backlash I'm getting for lying even though I'm not lying? B. If this comes out, it would be even less. Amber adds that this was about money. A. I'm choosing you over myself. B. You should have said nothing at all. Amber didn't say that
who
part.
cares about
B.
this?
I lost
Seriously.
my job. Okay, this is the big one I know a lot of people wanted me to address.
Okay.
Amber says that I completely denied being friends after our breakup. I didn't deny being friends with her entirely in my live stream, but I didn't say we were friends because I did not see us as friends. I explained that we did see each other in passing, when I needed to go to the apartment where some of my things still were, whenever she asked me to do something for her, and while being with mutual friends. To explain the screenshot, Amber mentioned me in a different video and told the audience that we were still friends at that time. This is why I said you should have said nothing at all, which she conveniently did not read out loud, except I didn't consider us to be really friends at the time, and I didn't want her talking about me on her
Literally
channel.
nobody
I was
cares.
scared of the audience, the haters, and the fans of Amber. I didn't want my channel to be all about her, and I didn't.
Oh, really? Oh, you were scared of the audience. You mean the same audience that you are now bilking for money. You were scared of the audience. And you didn't want your channel to be all about her, which it is now. But, you know, Becky, make your money. Whatever. Make your money. Do it. Scared of the audience. Why? What do you think the audience was going to do to you, Becky? Come on.
Want to give her or anyone else any reason to talk about me. Instead of telling her, no, Amber, I'm not your friend, I asked her not to say that we were friends. I had forgotten that I sent a message like that. So when I denied her lying for me, I didn't remember the assistance, and forgetting that is on me. But she wants to make this out to be an example of her always lying to her audience for me and to spare me and protect me. That just isn't the case. I believe she's only bringing this up because I admitted to lying in her videos for her on different occasions. I want to apologize to my audience for not being honest with you all at that time. I'm sorry that I was still afraid of being authentic and genuine with you all.
Oh, no,
I thought that if I could just ignore Amber and Girl World, that would be the safest path. I hope.
You know, this reminds me of that joke about somebody going to a job interview and they're asked, well, what is your weakness? What do you say your greatest weakness is in the workplace? And the response is, I'm just too efficient. I'm too diligent. You know, that's what this reminds me of.
Hope I can prove to you I have learned from those experiences and changed. I also want to apologize for my memory loss. I know Amber said herself that she has bad memory, and I'm sure that it was just an additional thing to muddy the waters of what was real and what wasn't. But
No, see, the problem with the memory loss specifically, and I'm not counting the block of time where she was on the medication, and I understand that being on benzos or antipsychotics or whatever can have, you can have memory loss over a longer period of time. I understand that. What bothers me about Becky's memory loss is how convenient it is. It's so convenient. The things that slip her mind are very convenient, you know, and that's okay. I mean, we all want to be able to protect ourselves or state our point of view in a way, you know, we're all basically geared towards pain avoidance. I get it. Nobody wants to be brigaded, attacked, whatever. But I think that everybody is giving Becky way too much of the benefit of the doubt. Way too much. And I find that the dramatic shift, it's like night and day. All of a sudden, oh, Becky is such a victim. Oh, Becky is such a good person. Oh, Becky this, Becky that. Bullshit. You people all hated Becky. All of you. All the reaction channels hated Becky. Some of them expressed it a little bit more diplomatically than others. But the conventional wisdom was that Becky was a drain on any video or in any live stream that she was a part of, that she was boring and lazy and not interesting and childish. And I mean, I can go on and on and on. And the fact that now the sun shines out of Becky's posterior, it's a bit too much.
I do wish I had more proof for you. Obviously, there are years of videos out there, and I rely on people bringing things to my attention a lot of the time when it comes to stuff posted publicly. However, I deleted all of our messages, texts, and other things. I didn't want to look at them anymore. I didn't want to read them or see them or think about them. They're gone, unfortunately, so I can't debunk or even look at the rest of the conversation for the screenshots she shows. During our relationship, I lacked a lot of independence and self-agency. I did a lot for her, but I couldn't get myself to do anything for me. I was depressed, and it was only getting worse the longer our relationship went on.
That's understandable.
She was dependent on me and wanted me to be dependent on her too. Codependence is hard to break out of. I slipped into it so quickly, I didn't realize I had lost all agency for myself. And then once I was in it, it was too difficult to stand on my own again. I've seen people compare it to boiling a lobster or crab. You put them in the water first and slowly raise the heat so they don't realize they are being cooked alive.
It's actually meant to be a metaphor using a frog, but whatever.
Things Amber admitted to. Number 1, she admitted to being mean and rude and talking down to me in videos and behind the camera. But she didn't admit that this was a form of public humiliation that I believe she used to control me and keep my self-esteem low. Number 2. Amber said that she was horrible to Destiny. No shocker there, but I do wonder why she kept saying she wasn't going to talk about Destiny in this live stream.
Yeah, she was so horrible to Destiny. She probably was. They were both incredibly childish and incredibly immature, and they did stupid shit, and they overshared, and they did a lot of stuff on video that they shouldn't have done. Okay? But also, keep in mind, Amberlynn gave Destiny a lot of money. Because Amberlynn buys people's affection, she buys people's time. She's admitted to this, and we've all seen it. We know that. And she did give Destiny and Dana a lot of money, and there are indications that Destiny and Dana basically cut her off when she stopped giving them money. I could give a fuck less about Destiny or Dana. I'm just mentioning that, she was so. If somebody was routinely horrible to me and treated me badly, or I felt slighted by them, I wouldn't constantly go to that person with my hand out for money unless it was guilt money. But as much as Amberlynn has been a shitty partner, her partners have been shitty to her too. Let's admit that. Let's admit that fact.
I can only guess. Number 3, admits to buying love and attention from partners and friends, yet doesn't admit to financial abuse at all. Amber, there is a difference between being generous and holding things over people's heads as leverage because you paid for something.
That's true.
Number 4, Amber says that she went through my phone a lot because of trust issues, but then shows journal entries to, in her eyes, prove that I did read her journals. First, Amber said that she didn't let me read any of her physical journals.
Oh, really?
I said that she wouldn't let me go through her phone because she said there were private journals on it. Yet she says that I could read her journals anytime and she wouldn't have cared if I looked at her phone.
Okay.
But that I never really had asked her anyway. Number 5, she admits that she does not feel that I was abusive towards her. But then why do all of this, Amber? Number 6, she admits to being manipulative toward me and others to get what she wants out of them. Number 7, and finally, she admits that she shouldn't have asked me to drive during the times that I was physically and mentally ill.
No, she shouldn't.
More on that later. At first glance, it may sound like she admitted to quite a few things, and she did, but she did not.
Yeah, she shouldn't have done that. But then again, what choice did she have? Who was going to drive her? Ricky? Ricky hated her. Ricky had enough problems with Eric. You think that he's going to put that ham planet in his car and schlep her around? No. And plus, Ricky had a job outside of the house. It's not like he had, an abundant amount of time to act, like her chauffeur and her, gopher. So, all right, let's go.
Take real accountability for them. She spent the worst part of 3 hours talking about things she went through and only accepting the small things she felt weren't as bad to distract and minimize the impact of the bigger problems at hand. Admitting to vague things like being controlling and manipulative, but not acknowledging that the impact of her being controlling of my time was me not being able to look for a job, save money, or even spend time with my dying mother. Amber continuously denied or straight up ignored the bigger issues or the details that didn't support her explanation for her behaviors.
I just want to make it abundantly clear that if some man had tried to keep me from being with my mother when she was dying, I would have told them to go fuck themselves. I would never have permitted anyone to keep me away from my mother when she needed me and when she was dying. Never, under any circumstances. Now, keep in mind, I'm a lot more strong-willed than Becky. I was making my own money, and I didn't need to be with anybody at the time. However, nothing would have kept me from my mother's side when she was dying. Not even a shrieking ham planet. What is Amberlynn going to do? Chase you down the street? Show up at your mother's house yelling? So she calls you when you're at your mother's house? Send her into voicemail. And let the chips fall where they may. Absolutely not. Let's continue.
Things Amber denied/ignored. Number 1, she denied still talking about me after the breakup. Number 2, she denied asking me to send her the settlement inheritance money and me sending it to her for bills and other things she paid for. Number 3, she fully denied ever being financially abusive to anyone because of her infamous kindness and generosity.
Why? Again, this is the thing that I keep on going back to this. Why would she need to send the inheritance money to Amber when the money was deposited in the joint bank account? Maybe it's just her poor use of language. I just don't follow the logic here. I don't get it. It was deposited into a bank account that Becky stupidly agreed to turn into a joint bank account. And Becky equally stupidly did not open a private bank account where money could be deposited. I just don't understand. If it was deposited in a joint bank account, then it was both of their property. Unwise, 1,000,000%. Becky should never have agreed to it. But it wasn't like she had to write Amber a check or transfer the money from one account into another. They had the same account. unless at this point Amber had opened a private bank account. I wish that she would clarify these details because they don't make any sense.
Generosity. Number 4, denied using a timer even though I said sometimes she did and sometimes she didn't. She only said this to make it sound like I wasn't telling the truth about her tracking the time for things I did. Number 5, she underestimated how much I helped her with her personal hygiene, saying that I only wiped her for 9 months and that I got her a bucket a couple times and only brushed her hair once. She also denies free bleeding.
Got it. Thank you, Tara.
I was under the impression she had admitted this before in her videos, but I have no idea which video it could be if she did. Number 6, denies leaving me with only...
Okay, because the impression that I got was that it was deposited into the joint bank account. So if it was deposited into the joint bank account, it would have been accessible to Amber. Again, Amberlynn could make good on this. This would be the one goodwill gesture that she could make. She could write Becky a check for $6,000 or CashApp it to her or something. And that would be the end of that fucking story. They could close that chapter. God knows Amberlynn is a horrible spendthrift. Amberlynn doesn't, money runs through her fingers like water, and she can't control herself, and she's a hoarder and everything else. But I'm sure that she could cobble together $6,000 and give it to Becky and say, just shut the fuck up. Here's your money. And the fact that she doesn't do it is a real problem. That's what I would do, just to shut her up, you know, just to put an end to that talking point.
A little bit of money for a U-Haul and implies that she did pay me for the live streams. Number 7, she ignores the serious allegations about her behavior towards Libby. Number 8, she ignores the chat asking her about getting physical with Jade.
Of course she did.
Number 9, she ignores everything that had to do with feederism
of course
and her
she
irresponsible involvement with feeders and making feeder content.
Okay.
Number 10, the last thing I'll mention here is that she gets asked what is the worst thing she did to me, and she replies with,
the cruelest thing I ever said to Beck? God, I can't remember a lot.
Well, what Amberlynn could do, now Amberlynn is incredibly stupid, okay? She's very bad at business. She doesn't do sponsorships. She's never branched out significantly on her channel. She's never improved the quality of her content. I mean, I don't know how much she could improve it given her very limited daily, day-to-day activities. But if Amberlynn was smart, just like, remember when Amberlynn, the porn star, sent her a cease and desist over the use of the name Amberlynn on the channel? And Amberlynn changed the name of her channel. We don't even know if that cease and desist was authentic. We have no idea. It could have been a troll. But let's say it was Amberlynn, the porn star. It went no further than that. And eventually Amberlynn changed the name of the channel back to Amberlynn Reed. Amberlynn has never trademarked her name. Amberlynn has never trademarked her image. Amberlynn has never gone after the storefronts on Redbubble that were selling merch with her face on it. She's never taken any steps to protecting her intellectual property and her copyright and trademark, or even copyrighted and trademarked anything. If Amberlynn had been smart, she would have hired a lawyer, had the lawyer draft up like a cease and desist and an NDA, and said to Becky, listen, I will give you the money back, but you're going to sign this document and we will never speak of each other again. The end. It would have, and that would have scared Becky, and she would have said, okay, well, maybe I need to be a little bit more creative on my end, on my channel. Maybe I'm the one who needs to shut my fucking mouth and find a way to make money on YouTube that doesn't involve this fat bitch. But again, Amberlynn has never protected her assets, her property, or anything else. She still thinks like a kid.
Of what happened, obviously, but let me think of something. It's not really what I said. It's just like what I did, like forcing them to like come home quicker and like being annoying about it, you know?
Uh-huh.
If she truly believes that is the worst thing she put me through in the past 7 years, then she is more lost and twisted than I ever realized. Now, as I talk about the screenshots, I need to discuss the journals with you. The journals confused me at first. I barely remember her writing in them the majority of our relationship. She talks about it like she was sitting there reading her journals to me or handing them over whenever she added a new entry. I don't remember ever reading her physical journals. I remember seeing her write down her weigh-ins or goals, and I remember an essay she wrote that she wanted me to read. I also remember her using her journals for stickers and scrapbooking. But beyond that, I wasn't just sitting around and reading her journals for fun. I think it's odd that she's using journal entries to prove anything, and even more odd that it was to prove that she would have let me go through her phone according to her. Especially when she lied about having 2 phones and then suddenly had both phones and has kept every single text message and photo ever. It is
Okay, yeah, going through each other's phones is an indication that you need to split up when you go through each other's phones. That is just very bad faith. Like, why would you do that? What are you so worried about? Both of you. And Becky said that she only wanted to go to Amberlynn's phone because Amberlynn was going through her phone. Why would you need to make that a condition? Why would you even want to look through somebody's phone? I mean, if you're that suspicious and you're that uneasy in whatever relationship it is that you have, just break up. But going through people's phones, that's fucked up. No.
It's interesting that she brought the journals up because it reminded me that she had this online secret private journal on her phone and laptop that she says she had for years, probably back when she knew Casey and Crystal. And that was a journal she really never wanted me to see.
Okay.
But obviously, I wasn't looking to read her journal. I had only asked to go through her phone because of how often she went through mine. I was like, why can't I go through your messages? Who are you talking to? And she would make excuses for why I couldn't look and just needed to trust her. Eventually, I just didn't care anymore. Next, let's talk about the mattress and bed bug situation.
Here we go.
I brought this up in my last live stream as something I was going to say to talk about later in the video. So, of course, she had to get ahead of the narrative, and that's fine.
Okay, because she's the ultimate victim. Because she didn't know any better. Because she was drugged up. Because she was in renal failure. Because she felt sorry for Amberlynn. Because she was insecure. Because there are like a million excuses. Maybe she was just feeling the weight of inertia, you know. Maybe she just was too, lazy or fucked up or whatever to leave. But that is no excuse. Inertia, fear, whatever, is no excuse not to spend time with your dying mother. None.
Fine. It wasn't important who said it first, though I do want to point out this was a first-hand experience from my live stream of my memory being a little wonky. I know it can kind of make some people question my credibility, but I swear I'm not entirely jelly-brained. Okay. I may mess some things up, but I remember the big picture.
Do you?
What happened to the bed frame? What do you mean, like the bed frame?
Like that's what you brought up.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Bed frame that you had to get rid of? You mentioned that.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You said you wanted to hold on to that. They're talking about like what you were talking about just a minute ago, where you were like,
I'm having a giant brain fart. Hey, wait, is it the one that we had bought together for her room?
You mentioned it.
Oh, the bed frame. Oh, in her first apartment when we first met.
Yeah.
And she was moving out. Oh, I really want to tell you guys, but I've got some stuff that I'm holding on to just in case. So yes, it was.
Yeah, she's holding on to it. Like, I'm sure she's still holding on to stuff now. And she's going to continue this drip, drip, drip release of videos. Hey, fine. I mean, going at one another on YouTube, it's a good money maker. People love the drama. They're really into it. And her sub count has gone way up. So why not? I mean, she's figured out a way to make money. So why not just continue down this road? I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Something about the bed frame and again, the memory loss. What do you mean the bed frame? How many bed frames are we talking about? How many bed frames did you two own together over the course of a relationship? Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Keep in mind that this business with the bed frame and everything else, it happened years ago. Years ago. Years ago. And whenever somebody comes online to talk about experiences they had with somebody years ago, it's an indication that they're desperate for attention. They're desperate for the attention of the person they're talking about, or they're just out to make money, or all of the above. And it's pathetic. I don't talk about people that I haven't spoken to in however many years. I don't talk about relationships that ended 15, 20 years ago, or 5 or 7 or whatever years ago. I don't talk about them. Why would I? It's an indication that Becky has no life and she has no other content.
Was about the bed bugs. While Amber was living in the townhouse, she had gotten bed bugs. This was after Destiny and her broke up, and we were seeing each other. The bed bugs could have come from the neighbors. They were horrible at the time, but it was impossible to know. However, Amber let it get bad and pretended not to notice.
Okay.
I had bites all over me. I think she probably did too, but maybe didn't want to admit it. I helped her get rid of them, quarantining her clothes and the mattress. And when she eventually moved in with Eric, Ricky, and I, she asked me to lie to them for her.
When she eventually moved in with Eric, Ricky, and I. So you knew that she was unhygienic. You knew that she had the bedbug situation. You knew that the pets were going to the bathroom all over the place because she couldn't walk them. She couldn't change the litter box, whatever. The stench in that apartment must have been next level. And you moved that woman in with you, Eric, and Ricky. And that was your decision, Becky. You could have walked away at any time. And the fact that you felt sorry for her because she had nowhere to go. Amberlynn always picks up some sucker to take her in or to date or whatever. So she would have been fine. She's always got somebody in her DMs. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, but you chose that, Becky. That was a deliberate decision. Amberlynn did not break into your house and squat there. Amberlynn did not move in there against your will. You brought her there. Period.
At the time, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I didn't want her to be homeless, and she begged me not to tell them. I cared about her, and I knew that if I said anything, they wouldn't have let her move in. Eventually, I did tell them the truth, though, and Ricky and Amber had a big fight about it.
I'll bet they did.
I should have never lied to them for Amber at the time. Now I want to talk about something really serious with you guys.
Uh-oh.
Talking about DV and SA is an incredibly sensitive topic to handle.
Yeah, it is.
While I am a victim of Amber's abuse, I am not a victim of either DV or SA by her hands. In this live stream, Amber makes outrageous claims against the people she's wronged and ignores others. She doubles down on her accusations against Casey with no hesitation because Casey dared to stand up against her. She ignores the allegations of hitting Jade and ignores being inappropriate with Libby.
Yeah.
She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow. She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chill type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie and this started a fight between us.
Okay.
This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her.
She probably
and if I didn't
did.
hurry up, she would find somebody else. I did like her at the time and I didn't want to lose her yet, so then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible.
What an absolutely pathetic and embarrassing story. I wish I could feel badly for Beck, but I don't. So embarrassing. Like, why would you even admit any of this? It doesn't reflect well on you, Becky. And I mean, okay, so you're now engaged and blah, 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 and good for you. You know, I hope it lasts and I hope that this ends soon. But how embarrassing.
We started dating, the financial and economical abuse wasn't far behind. Economic abuse is a form of abuse when one person has control over the victim's access to economic resources, which diminishes the victim's capacity to support themselves and forces them to depend on the perpetrator financially. Amber didn't have her own bank account and I allowed her to use mine and eventually join it officially. Amber had control of the joint account. Amber had control over her own private account. It was all Amber's money.
Wait, so she had control over the joint account, but she couldn't access it. I'm sorry. I understand that it was a real pain in the ass that Becky wasn't working and that Becky was tied to her and that Becky was expected to be at her beck and call, no pun intended. and all of that. But there's something about this story that doesn't make sense to me. And it's not just because I can't imagine myself being in a similar situation. It just doesn't hang together properly. Again, you were not a mail order bride. You were not on 90 Day Fiancé. You were not dependent on her for a green card, a visa, bringing your kids over. You were able to work. You just didn't because Amberlynn wouldn't allow it. I get it. But what do you mean you didn't have access to the bank account or that she only had control over the bank account? You guys spent money like it was going out of style, both of you, between the food, the trinkets, the T-shirts, the snapbacks, the tapestries, and all the other garbage that you spent money on. So I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't sit well with me.
She used paying for bills and buying food and gifts as leverage to get away with anything. This was enough in her mind to justify all the things I did for her and owe her more. I took care of her because I cared about her and knew she couldn't do a lot of things herself. I cleaned up after her and the pets. I ran errands for her. I took her to appointments and restaurants and anywhere she wanted to go. I made her a huge part of my life and inner circle. I tried my best and did anything she wanted me to do.
Okay.
Meanwhile, she sees the relationship as her being taken advantage of because she paid for things, like paying the down payment on the car that I drove her around in. She bought food because she wanted it, and she paid the bills because she also lived there. If I had a job, I would have been contributing. But she used the fact that she could afford it, and she needed me as reasoning for me to not get a job. And Amber used her paying for things that I needed to manipulate me into handing over the money for my mom's settlement. She says otherwise, but it was not left in the joint account. All of this to me shows a clear power imbalance in our relationship that just kept growing and growing. On top of being financially controlled, I mentally wasn't in a healthy state of mind for most of our relationship.
Yeah,
I was
we know.
struggling with years of depression, and then when I finally tried to get help, the psychiatrist I was seeing misdiagnosed me and over-medicated me. I was on multiple medications, maybe 4 to 6 at one time. Mood stabilizers, anxiety meds, the combination and switching of medications had me completely out of it. I was bad before, but this was different.
Okay, so basically all of you went to a quack. You went to a Dr. Feelgood. I'm familiar with that. We have a number of them in this town where they're not qualified to put you through the paces of therapy. They're not qualified to properly diagnose you. And I know that bipolar, the symptoms, whether it's one or two, can mimic other mental illnesses or other physical illnesses. I get it. However, you went to somebody who stuffed pills down your throat. Now, I understand that when you're really depressed and you're really out of it and you don't know what's wrong with you, you're willing to try anything. But at a certain point, when you are unable to function, you have to go back to that care provider, whether a therapist, a nurse practitioner, a doctor, a shrink, whatever, and say, look, this medicine is not working for me. I cannot function. I am a zombie. I have no memory. I can't concentrate. I can't drive. I can't do anything. But it's amazing to me how 3 people in that household were all going to the same provider and all 3 of them were diagnosed with exactly the same thing. What a remarkable coincidence. And all 3 of them were probably misdiagnosed too.
I was experiencing a lot of negative side effects, and Amber tried to minimize this by saying it was only 3 months. I don't know exactly when I started taking the medicine, but it was the longer part of 2019, I believe. She also tries to minimize the effects of my kidneys shutting down.
The renal failure was very, very thankfully short-lived. So it was very quick, thankfully, because that was also very, very worrisome.
These 2 things overlapped, but both had long-lasting effects. The doctors eventually wanted to do blood work because they were considering putting me on lithium, and that's when they found out that I was going into kidney failure. After more testing, they found it was the metformin causing it, and I was able to recover, but it wasn't quickly. After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing.
Yes.
And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to
Oh,
wipe.
boy.
She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then she would throw them away. Our roommates started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were disappearing.
Yikes.
And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink and then put them in the washer. Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time. Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times.
Can I just point out that there was absolutely no reason whatsoever to tell that story? Okay, listen, I am sick of this whole wiping, all these wiping revelations. I find them vile and disgusting. I don't want the metal picture. I don't think any of us do. And we have now gotten to a point where Becky is escalating and getting worse and worse and worse. I think that this is cheap. I think that this is underhanded. I'm sorry. I know that there are a lot of people out there who want to cheer Becky on and keep her going and, you know, agitate Amberlynn and get Amberlynn to cry and rage and everything else on stream. I get it. But just as a civilized adult, I think that there are certain things that you just shouldn't talk about. You know, this is very embarrassing. And I don't understand why. I mean, I get that Becky wants her pound of flesh. She's getting it because everybody's running with this story. But it's disgusting. I mean, if you don't respect her, I understand. I get it. I get not respecting Amberlynn because she sounds like she was a nightmare to live with. But the two of you are in your 30s, Becky. You're in your 30s and you broke up years ago. Years ago. Oh, hi, Judy. Judy, can I just tell you that I have been absolutely loving your tweets. Good for you. Good for you. It's good to see you, sis. All right, let's continue.
And that is true. It only happened a couple of times. But I did help her get spots she couldn't reach. And in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower.
Okay.
I also didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months. I'm only saying all of this now because she does not live in the same reality. I'm hoping maybe this will be enough to finally reach her. She and some others don't realize that you don't wipe someone and groom someone that you don't care for. I didn't do those things for money. I did them to help her be more comfortable, to protect her dignity as much as I could. I lied for her and defended her and kept her alive. Now she shows her respect and gratitude for me by talking badly about me repeatedly.
So just move the fuck on. Obviously, you two don't like each other. And obviously, well, she's not going to move on because this is her cash cow now. But just move on, Becky. Just move on. You're engaged. You're employed. Do something else. Why are you lingering on this period in your life and then alternately saying, oh my God, I was such a victim and blah, 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 blah. There are people like that in girl world who cannot fucking move on. Oh my God, I'm such a victim. Oh my God, do you guys remember when this happened to me? Oh my God, can I remind you guys of when this happened to me? Oh my God, you guys, I'm so traumatized. Oh my God. And then eventually these idiots get blocked in chat and their friends say, you know what, just pull yourself together and go fuck yourself. But there's something very, very, very annoying about people who cannot move the fuck on. Years later. Let's continue.
Even in the chaos of everything, she said she still had time to read chats saying we both had hygiene issues and saying that she did gross things for me too. Me not showering for a couple extra days because I was depressed and you popping my pimples are not the same as me wiping you and cleaning your ankles. Amber doesn't want to say that she is an abuser. I am saying that. She wants to claim this diagnosis and that diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't matter. Her self-awareness is non-existent. Everyone has noticed that she takes zero accountability or responsibility.
We know that, Becky.
She will beg and barter and manipulate until everyone sees it the way that she sees it. She can't do all of that publicly, and no abuser wants their abuse to be aired out. Amber, I just wanted you to finally take some accountability for the shit you've done. If I really wanted to humiliate and embarrass you, I would have just done this years ago. The only way to hold you accountable is...
Yeah, I would have done it years ago, but since I didn't, I think I'll do it now. Come on, Becky. You need to take accountability too. You need to own up to your part in this, and you need to admit that you're doing this for money. Admit it. Why not? I come on my channel. Every time I come, well, not every time, but, you know, I come on my channel and I say, I am here to make money. That's it. You think I give a damn about Becky and Amberlynn? No. I'm here to make money. That's why people go on YouTube, to make money. Anybody who says that, oh, I don't think I'm going to turn monetization on because it's not about the money for me, they're lying. They're getting private donations through CashApp, Venmo, whatever. And they're not turning monetization on because they don't want to give Google 30% of whatever comes in through Super Chats, memberships, and AdSense. That's why they don't turn monetization on. But to say, oh, I just like to come here and hang out with you guys, and I'm just here to tell my truth. No, you're not. No, you're not. So just be honest, Becky. Just say, listen, I am trying to claw back whatever money I could have earned back then that I didn't. And I'm here to humiliate Amberlynn over and over and over again, while putting up bullshit about Darvo and narcissistic abuse and all this other shit. We've seen all this before, too. I've seen it before. I know some of you have. But just say it. I'm here to make money. There's no shame in that. You know, this is not communism. We're all here to make money. Come on, let's go.
Is publicly, bringing awareness to the abuse and having your audience see between the cracks. Your public live stream wasn't about an apology or healing. It wasn't about breaking your silence. It was about silencing others, especially me. You did not take this seriously. It is inappropriate to laugh when you are talking about other people's trauma, especially when you're the one who caused it. I can laugh about my trauma with friends, but making fun of what your victims have experienced is insensitive and weird. You are trying to convince everyone that I did just as much to you as you've done to me. And since you don't feel abused by me, then I should not feel abused by you. But the difference is, I do feel abused by you, Amber, because you abused me, and you've abused other girlfriends in the past too. Name the worst thing I did to you. Tell me what it is so I can take accountability for it.
Oh, you probably bored her to death, but never mind.
If it was so bad. Because all you've said about me is that I'm a liar and use you for money. Just because you feel attacked by my perspective doesn't make it a lie. And I wouldn't have dealt with so much if I was only with you for the money. And still to this day, you have the audacity to say that the worst thing you put me through was forcing me to spend time with you. It is laughable if it wasn't so sad. The funny part is you are kind of right.
Well, I mean, that was pretty awful. And it's not just spending time with her, it's spending all her time with her. That's pretty bad. Okay, I think we can all agree. Let's finish this up. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Why don't you let Amberlynn's other girlfriends worry about themselves? Why don't you do that? You're forming some sort of Team You retarded fucking Justice League with these loser bitches. And you're all going to come together and do what exactly? What exactly has happened to Amberlynn as a result of all this? She's still on the platform. She still has 250,000 subscribers. She's still charging $10 a month in memberships, which is bullshit. Okay. And she's still making money. So what is it that you hope to accomplish? You don't understand. What Becky doesn't understand is that Amberlynn's audience is made up almost entirely of A-logs and hate watchers. And they're so obsessed with her that they will pay that extortionate $10 a month membership fee to see her live streams and all of that crap. And the reaction channels too, of course. And when you've got an audience that consists entirely of hate watchers that are keeping you afloat, there's nothing you can do to that person. It's like Foodie Beauty. There's nothing you can do. Amberlynn is not breaking terms of service. People who join the memberships join voluntarily. Nobody is forcing them to do it. So what exactly does Becky want to accomplish here besides make money for herself? Anyway, let's finish up.
right. Forcing me to spend all my time with you kept me from my mom while she was dying. These were the darkest moments of my life. I look back on them now and wish I could slap myself awake from a nightmare. I don't know why I let her control me so much. I wish I would have just run away and told her no. I have so many regrets from that time, but she knew what she was doing. She knew she was manipulating me into isolating myself from my own family, begging me to spend time with her instead of my mom, causing rifts between us in the very little time I had left with her. I hate that because of Amber and her hold on me, I wasn't there for my mom the way I wanted to be.
Yeah, you
I
weren't.
hate that I don't remember our last Christmas together. I hate that she cried for me when she was losing so much.
What a shame.
Abuse changes people. It can turn you into someone completely unrecognizable. It could take years for you to find yourself again and to make sense of what was even happening.
Okay.
To those of you who haven't experienced something like this before, I hope that you can see this as a tale of caution. And if you have experienced something like this similarly, then I hope this helps you feel less alone. I hope that my mom is out there watching and seeing the changes I've made and is feeling peace knowing that I am safe, happy, and loved.
Ugh.
I hope that she is proud of me for sticking up for myself and for speaking out against Amber. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you when I see you.
Okay, well, that was awful. All right. But hey, almost 200 of you were here to watch, so thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm going to push my memberships too. If anybody would like to join, by all means do so. Or you can just subscribe. That would be great too. And I do appreciate the fact that so many people were in chat today and that you're not afraid of the assholes who are trying to keep people from coming over to my channel, subscribing, chatting. Don't let people frighten you away. That is ridiculous because every dog has their day. And the people who are now like spying on my chat and trying to like go after my viewers, it's not going to last long. Trust me. You don't know what I have coming up. I have something coming up. It's not going to be for a while, but it's coming. So I wanted to close out with a bit of gossip. And that is that, as you all know, Snow White is supposed to debut. It's premiering on the 21st of March in the United States. Now, it's already, the big rollout has already been canceled in the UK. This is what's happened in the United States, and I want to thank Crochetter for letting me know. Apparently, there's not going to be a big red carpet rollout in LA. I think that the movie is going to have a screening in LA on the 15th. But there's not going to be a Q&A. It's not going to be a big press thing. Only photographs are going to be allowed. Nobody can ask Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot, anybody else questions about the movie. So if you're just going to allow, there's no red carpet, there's no big rollout, and there's no big thing, then what the hell is the point of even inviting photographers? Just release some publicity stills and call it a day. But okay. And meanwhile, what Disney has done is they have released a new trailer today for Lilo and Stitch, which is absolutely lovely. And the animation, the CGI is incredible. It's the live action Lilo and Stitch. It is adorable. Absolutely adorable. And so this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to change the subject away from Snow White and to Lilo and Stitch, as if we do not know that Snow White is premiering on the 21st, and that a lot of haters have been sharpening their knives and waiting for this movie to finally get into the theater so they can write a scathing review of it. You love Lilo and Stitch, Jarella, you have to see the trailer. It is beautiful. It really is beautiful. The cuteness of it is off the charts. The movie is going to make a mint, and it deserves to. And Crochetter said something to me that was true, which is, how is it possible that the CGI in Lilo and Stitch is so amazing? How is it possible that they did such a great job with Lilo and Stitch, and why does Snow White look like such garbage? Why? It looks bad. The dwarves are terrible. the casting, except for Gal Gadot, changing the story so that it's basically a retelling of Snow White and the Huntsman. Why? I mean, if it's Snow White and the Huntsman, why do you call it Snow White? It's not even the original story. It is Disney's premier IP. You go to Disney headquarters and what do you see over the entrance? The 7 dwarves. And instead of casting human beings as the dwarves, they made these horrendous CGI renderings of them that are just awful. So it is going to be one of the biggest flops in Disney history, if not one of the biggest flops of the year. So anyway, here's an anti-Semite who needs to be, not Scotty. Here's an anti-Semite that needs to be kicked out of the chat. Thank you for showing yourself. So yeah, Snow White is just, it's a disaster. And I was telling Karsten today that I cannot wait to read the postmortems. I can't wait to read about all of the drama that occurred in the boardroom and with the executives and the director. And one of the problems that Disney has had for years is that they always run over budget. And it doesn't matter if it's Disney proper, Lucasfilms, or Marvel. For some reason, Disney cannot put together a TV show or a movie. Leave the TV show aside. The Star Wars TV shows ran wildly over budget. Why is it that they cannot make a fucking movie that doesn't go up to 300 million or thereabouts? Why? Wicked cost $150 million to film, with the 9 million tulips, with the practical sets, with all the bells and whistles. 150 million. How could Snow White cost nearly twice as much to film as Wicked? It makes absolutely no sense. Oppenheimer was filmed for like 100 million and it made over $1 billion at the box office. So why is it that consistently Disney has these cost overruns on their movies? Why? Doesn't anybody overseeing these movies step in and say, what the fuck are you doing? That is a lot of money. Oh, there you go. They've got a problem. Disney has a problem. And this Snow White thing is going to be amazing. I can't wait. All right, you guys, I want to thank you all for being here. Please don't forget to sub on your way out. I appreciate all of you. And I will probably see you tomorrow if I can come up with a decent topic. So I will see you guys the next time. Thanks, everybody.